going to say because we originally started with the county. That's where my thoughts were to 2018. Because I guess in 2018 the county will readdress this. Is that correct?
We will go to the county.
Yes, I would imagine the Canadian Legion would go to the county, and
that was my thoughts were rather than a 10-year period, go with what the county, because that's what we originally did, and move it to 100%. That's my thoughts.
Well, the county's exemption goes to 2018 inclusive. We could do 100% in 2018. And then have them come back at that time. It is going to be 2019 will be a new council. 2018 until December 1st, anyways, will be this council. So we could change that to include up into the county. I would suspect that the county will do the same and redo it for 10 years. It's something, it's not new in 2008. It certainly wasn't new. It was prior to that. The Legions were also have had an exemption for a number of years, both from the county and from municipalities, because I know Ross Township used to give the 100%. Well, they didn't have a Legion. Sorry, I should say. Or the town of Renfrew and the town of Arnprior gave 100% as well. So they for 10 years. So, Mayor Johnson?
I'm pretty sure the next council is going to give them the same as we're going to. I'm saying give them 100% right now, do it for 10 years, and not waste their time having to come back, put it on the calendar for 10 years from now, come back in.
Reeve Miller?
That's exactly what I would support too, is the 10 years, and it's obvious to me that our upper levels of government are treating the Legion as a different entity, and rightfully so, and I'm not worried about other service groups. This is a little different, and I would support it totally, 10 years.
Okay, so the mover was Reeve Miller, and the seconder was Councillor Mackay. Can I change that from 2000? They are asking, Legion is asking for 2016 as well. Do we go from 2016 to 2025? Read the motion. Moved by Reeve Miller, seconded by Councillor Mackay. Be it resolved that the Corporate Services Committee of the Township of Whitewater Region recommends that the land used and occupied by the Royal Canadian Legion Branch 550 listed above, there's no above, Canadian Legion Branch 550 be exempted from the Township of Whitewater portion of taxation except for priority lien status fees and charges as follows. So from 2016 to 2025, 100% exempt. The priority lien status and fees and charges is what's in the Act, because if there was any priority liens or fees, then they would be responsible for them. We're not exempting them from those. Okay. Any further discussion? All those in favor? Opposed? Carried. Thank you for coming
out.
Thank you very much.
We do appreciate this. All Legions are in trouble. This is not a bunch of good stuff. Thank you.
You turn it off. Thank you. Thank you for coming up. So the delegation number 2 is Westmeath Community Center, Rink Band Noise, Stephen Fleury and Bob Grills. Welcome, gentlemen.
We're here to represent the WDRA.
You'll have to speak right into the microphone.
We're here to represent the WDRA in resolving or trying to resolve a problem with one of our residents. She has a problem with noise coming from the arena, and it's quite a chore for her. I could sort of summarize where we are, and then Steve will get into the technical parts. Her name is Kathy Brennan, and she's been living in Westmead since 2012. She's about a little over 2 blocks from the arena, due south in a straight line from exhaust fans on the south end of the arena. These fans expel the hot air from the attic over the ice surface, and when they do make a noise, not much of a noise, but when it does, it just gives her a lot of stress. She has a condition called, I'll have to read it, myalgia or something, and it's sort of some brain damage, and for some reason when these fans start, she goes into complete stress. It's tormenting for her. She called me back in April. I went up to see her 3 times trying to sort it out, see what we can do, this type of thing. And she's a mess. There's not much she can do. She's sort of, when the fans start, which is most of the time during ice season, she's either housebound or bedbound, depending on how it affects her. She has a lot of problems. But to hear the sound, you have to really listen from her place. So what we think it is the frequency of the sound. And that seems to set her off. And she's just obsessed with worrying about this. She's been worrying for months. It's April, about September coming up when we start again. So she isn't even enjoying her reprieve of not hearing it. Other things bother her too, like the bell buzzer from the public school. She tried to get them to not do it, but anyway, that's a side issue. Anytime I met with her and talked to her, she was very grateful, accommodating, and I felt really bad for her, so it's kind of emotional. I think she's really genuine, and I feel bad that we don't have any answers for her. We've considered a lot of things which Steve will talk about. She has no friends except those from Toronto where she came from. They talk for her quite often, and once in a while come and visit her. Our whole committee is well aware of her situation, and we're empathetic to it, but just don't know what to do. So here we are tonight asking council that they can have expertise that we didn't have, or something to be able to alleviate this situation. I mean, we don't want to shut down the rink, obviously. But I'll pass you over to Steve, and he can tell you some of the ideas we had and what we tried and everything else. He's very technical. Thank you.
Speak into the microphone.
All right, so on the screen behind you, we can, we'll just do some quick references here. The purple dot is the back of the rink, and it is directly on top of the fan. The red dot is her house. So we've taken some measurements, and that distance is 450 feet. There is obviously some tree line between her and us, but it is more or less a direct shot. This is the culprit. The upper fan with the duct hood. We have 2 of these. They are the main ventilation for the attic space in the rink. Without the fans, we would end up with condensation and potentially rust damage because we have a steel building. So I've also done some limited noise testing. Standing directly under that fan while it is running registers 76 decibels, which is considered noisy. If you go back to this picture here, if we walk out to Creek Street, directly behind that fan, the noise drops to 56 decibels. If you then start wandering down Graham Street towards her house, the noise levels off at about 52, which seems to be the standard for all of Westmeath. It's, as Bobby said, it's very negligible. It's almost inaudible outside of crickets, the noise. So we didn't know what we could do with the fan, so we've approached it with a few different thought processes. The first one was what they call a variable frequency drive. So basically it runs the motor at slightly different amperages and varies the speed of the motor so that it maybe doesn't produce as much. They're not cheap, and there was no guarantee that that would resolve the problem. We haven't been able to determine if it's noise, if it's frequency, if it's tone, if it's... None of us are obviously nuisance noise experts, so we don't have the expertise to make an educated decision on what solution we were going to use. Also, we've looked at putting additional elbows on that fan, maybe drawing it closer to the road. Sorry. Getting it down closer to the actual, closer to the ground here. So let me bring that picture back up for you. That's about 25 feet in the air. It's only just one tin elbow, as you would put on any kind of water. It's more for wind and water than it is for noise. It's not a muffler by any stretch. We'd consider bringing it to the ground. Again, we're not sure that's the problem. So, in essence, I don't know 100% what we're asking for. Maybe some guidance on if there's noise bylaws, maybe environmental. Maybe you guys have rules on environmental. I know big cities deal with nuisance noise quite frequently. We don't have the expertise. We don't know where to find the expertise without spending tens of thousands of dollars on engineers and the such that may or may not get us where we're going. So I guess we're looking for maybe some public works help to see if the council can, find somebody that could help within their ranks or within the existing system.
It does seem like a conundrum, that's for sure. I think maybe I could suggest that staff look into some sort of solution. I don't know what a solution is going to be that's going to reduce if the decibels are only at 52, and then you don't know if some of those decibels are from the street lights or from the actual machine itself, because you would have to test it during the day when the street lights are on and there's no other noise in Westmeath to say that
like I say, 52 seems to be the standard, so
that's why
way
I
up
think
by
it
the
might
quarry
be
on
street lights.
Rapid Road, there is nothing. It's standing in my driveway. It's 52, and my nearest neighbor's 200 feet away. In the middle of my neighbor's field, it's 52. The sound is, and again, it's we're not even sure it's the sound, if that makes sense.
Yep, it does.
It could be frequency issue. It could be just the range that it's in. As far as we're aware, that it is the original fan. The noise is not abnormal for a fan like this. And we don't have the expertise. That's really what it comes down to, is we just don't have the expertise.
Mayor Johnson?
There are people that do soundproofing for fans. They incorporate them into power units like CBC, and those people do on site. You cannot hear them running right beside them, and they do cut the frequency levels substantially too. We could probably, or you can probably look at that type of a thing. I don't personally think you're going to achieve anything else with a fan other than a soundproof system that involves frequency completely extinguished. And
kind of on the edge. We think the answer is really an engineer, but at what point, like, it's unfortunately just one individual in our community. The neighbors directly across the street and beside the arena don't have any noticeable, and they have basically, I guess it's like living near the train tracks. You get used to it, right? And she's been back for a while, but she's not used to it. And
Councillor Ricker?
Where I can sympathize with this individual, I'm sure it's got to be stressful for her. I would not be in favor of municipality. I don't think it's to put any unless it's if this individual has a problem, if we're prepared to put down to a barrier or looking at that option, I think this individual should be looking into that. It's her environment. And us, our exec, suggested that to her.
To explain that a little bit, she's on a disability pension. She can't afford to do much. She can't afford to move. She's stuck. Her last suggestion was, can you put the fans at the other end of the arena?
That's very unfortunate. She's been here 4 years. Is this just coming to light?
No, she's complained a number of times. She's been over to see Brenda a few times. She's been over to talk to Mel. It seems to be getting worse for her. And this time, someone mentioned my name. So she phoned me up and said, I hear you can put in a grant to Trillium and maybe solve my problem. That's how it started.
Okay.
It was that literally that simple.
Well, I do appreciate all your efforts.
But
Reeve Miller?
Yeah, you may have already answered my question since I put my hand up, but you said she can't afford to move. Is she an actual property owner of her house?
yes,
So it's a big job to sell and relocate. My second question is, has there been any experiments done with the fan off and different locations in Westmeath with her in particular, how it affects her? What if this was all fixed and like you guys alluded to earlier, and we didn't catch the problem and somebody spent a lot of money? Like, was she ever moved around Westmeath to try and see how this affects her in different places or even a different village and see what happens?
well, right now, the fan isn't bothering her because it's not on yet. It wouldn't be on until ice starts, okay? So it's either on or off. And even during the year, the winter, if it's cold enough, it doesn't have to come on, so she gets some relief there. But her big problem is worrying about when it's going to start again.
So you've already ascertained it's definitely the fan. Like,
Yes.
it only happens when the fan's on.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Councillor Mackay?
I don't think this woman can live anywhere because wherever you would the fans from stores, and she moved to the country barn fans make it quite impossible. We may not be able to fix this, maybe her. Just saying. I wouldn't put anybody else.
I think you all grasp exactly what we're kind of going through. There's very little that I think, we could spend hundreds of thousands of dollars on fancy enclosures. She sent us some beautiful websites where the company will sell you exactly what you want, but no guarantees.
Councillor Olmsted?
Well, I really sympathize with this lady. I don't think this is a taxpayer issue. I'd be against throwing taxpayer money at the solution. I think the solution has to come from within. If I read the doctor's note here from Dr. Hyde, his suggestion is to change the ventilation system or totally sound insulate her house or both. I think that's where the solution has to come from. This woman within her house, she had a school on one side of her that wasn't really appropriate. A rink on the other side that's not really appropriate. She has to look at her house. I my business, I know that grants come up now and again for homeowners to apply for certain things like home efficiencies. So I think that's probably the route that she could go, but I personally would be against spending taxpayer money trying to fix a personal issue.
Mayor Johnson and then Councillor Ricker.
She is on disability benefits at this point. So she is basically a ward of the province. And so therefore, being that that has already been entered into, they have a responsibility to provide her care, not the municipality at all. And so she needs to get this doctor to approach whoever is in charge of her personal care, and they can move it forward. It's their responsibility. When she's already in that system, that's their responsibility. If they want to soundproof her house or soundproof her or fan or whatever, but that would be their responsibility, and that I think has to be pretty much our answer.
Councillor Ricker, do you have anything further?
Last year, I was going to, I agree with Councillor Olmsted, and point you to page 4. Thank you, Ellen.
Okay. So there was... Okay. Thank you very much.
Okay.
I know we haven't answered your
Thanks for your
question,
time.
but
Maybe not the answer we go for, but it's an answer.
it's an answer.
Another avenue. Thank you.
Thank you.
Can I make just one request? Maybe this is not the appropriate. Is there any way that the township could draft a letter to such that says we have reviewed this and just to give us, she's heard this from us a lot already. Like we can't help you. Is there anybody I can approach after maybe like outside of council hours to draft something like that? I don't know if there's like I said sound bylaws. I assume we have some. That maybe
There is no noise bylaws in the township.
So we're not in violation.
No. Mayor Johnson? Microphone, please.
If we're going to respond in writing, it would have to be that council has decided that this needs to be addressed by her support now, and we are not, can't say at this time it'll be a never.
So are we going to give direction to staff to prepare that letter for the mayor to sign, or? Okay. Direction.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Okay. We move over to environmental services. Oh, one more. Sorry. Delegation number 3, creation of permanent economic community development officer, Andrew Kenny. Welcome, Andrew. So is there anything further to your information that you've provided for the submission that you would like to provide further, or is that basically, because we've all read it, so for you to reread it?
I was just going to reread it, and that's it.
And that's it. So has everybody read Andrew's submission? Is there any questions of Andrew at this time? Is there anything further that you wanted to state at this time, Andrew?
No, but it would be nice just to have questions on it, if there is any.
I've asked for questions, and there has been no questions at this time. I think we have been reviewing it, and we'll continue to review it. And when I believe if there is a decision made with regards to putting forward a community development officer, that it will be advertised at that time. So certainly. That's the process, always has been the process, was going to be the process, even while you were here on contract. If it was to become full-time, it certainly would have been advertised. So at this point in time, no decision has been made. We had gone through a hiring process, and we're not successful at the time hiring a deputy clerk economic development officer, economic development officer, and have taken that title off so far, and are in the process of hiring an assistant, planning assistant, at this time. And how the economic development, we haven't really addressed it over the summer, because this was at the end of the summer that the other position was not filled, and we'll have to review it come the fall again once we get things in play. And unfortunately, it may even mean until a new CAO is hired to see what direction that person recommends. It may mean that we address it beforehand, but I can't say for sure because none of us have talked about it up to this point. But thank you very much for your submission, all good points, and certainly gives us a good idea of if we are going to go that route. It gives us a great idea of what to provide in a job description, that's for sure.
Okay, I was expecting questions, so since there weren't any, I'd just like to give you my reasons for writing this. The reasons are just, I want to make sure council is well informed. I know that you don't want to make decisions if you're not well informed, and throughout my time, my contract here, there wasn't a lot of communication, or there wasn't a lot of transfer of information, so I thought, I see what's going on now, I want to make sure you're aware of all this. So
I think throughout the process we were well informed, for the most part. So, but this certainly, like I said, gives us a good idea of what to put in a job description, even though we had, some job description, but gives us a better idea of what we need to do for community development officer above and beyond the economic development. Okay?
Okay, thanks.